Hello and welcome to another special presentation from In the Money Media. I'm Mikee P, Mike Probosi, subbing for PTF, who is hanging out at Royal Ascot. So I'm tabbed this week with promoting the In the Money Horseplayers Tour. And we have a couple guys that were at the top of that leaderboard last week. Joining me is Matt Miller, author of A Better Way of Thinking, 2021 Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge champ. And he's back in the playoffs again this year for the In the Money contest. Matt, welcome back to the network.
Terrific to be here. I said to you beforehand, I can't believe for the times I've been on this network, I can't believe our paths haven't crossed yet. So this is fun for me. Nice to see you.
It's great. Thank you. And I appreciate you coming. And I've seen you plenty on a lot of different podcasts, on with Pete a lot, talking about your tournament strategy, a lot of your segments for your tournaments and things. But this is a little bit different than some of the content you've been giving us lately, because you give us a lot of strategy ideas for the live money tournaments. Well, these tournaments are a little different. This is pick and pray format, and you need to put in your picks prior to the first race. Now, if you're looking to get in on the In the Money tours, that you can just go to horseplayers.com and check out jump in, and you can the extra money goes to charity. So that's something that's obviously very positive. Some one of the reasons that I like to do it, and it goes to aftercare. So we're always looking to support aftercare. But Matt, for this contest this week, and we're going to bring up the leaderboard this week, and we'll see that the top of the list, the top four make the playoffs, and it also feeds into another contest that gives a BCBC seat on Saturday. But you can see here, Matt Miller entry number 3. There's a lot of 6s there, Matt. Explain your thoughts on, hey, you made the top 4.
I'm embarrassed to show my face after you put that up. All right, so let's get a couple things out of the way. I highly recommend this contest. It's fun. In my case, I look at it as being supportive of my friend Pete. That's just one additional reason to do it. Your point about profits going to charity make it plenty good reason to do it. So, and it's a low cost price point and a little bit something different. I'm not a very big $2 win in place, pick and pray type player. So, okay, every now and then to do one of these, they make it a no-brainer. I'll do the maximum 3 entries every time. This tournament format has changed a little bit over time. Mm-hmm. The way I played this last year worked for last year. I'm a little surprised it's already working for this year. If I've got the rules right, and you'll have to remind me, I think it's the top 4 in a given week advance to the playoffs. Before, I think it was a bit more generous in terms of the number of people in a given tournament, and so you didn't have to be so good. You had to just be pretty decent. Well, look, again, I started with the premise that I think this is a fun, good thing to do, and I really believe that. At the same time, I believe these tournaments are not exactly what they seem to be. They purport to be about handicapping and playing the horses. And in the end, I think they've got way, way more to do with game theory, with the ability to separate oneself from the crowd. And I actually do, at least for low stakes, have no problem putting my money where my mouth is and doing some pretty whacked out stuff, proving my point that these tournaments are much more about differentiating oneself than actually handicapping well. I know that's going to anger a bunch of people. Of course, the good handicappers, the cream rises to the top consistently, but not every time. And in the context of any given tournament, the trick, as you know, in these things, is to catch that one horse that kind of ruins everyone's day. It's that 12-to-1 shot that you didn't have, that 11 people out of 89 did, and those are the people that are going to be fighting it out. It's really hard to make that up once someone's gotten that on you. And so the trick is you've got to find these differentiators. I'm not trying to be rude to anybody, but if you look at the picks, and let's not do this because I don't want to pick on any name or whatever, but if you look at the picks, if you just look on how people played, you notice some very definitive trends, whether people are playing the same odds range or the same jockeys. It's clear as day. They're all essentially clustering themselves together. And so I've chosen a method that ensures intentionally that that can't happen. Last week, I had one entry with all sixes, one with all sevens. I couldn't find any other races that had the same number in every one, so I did a combo of 2s and 8s, and it was a nice little color combo. I actually, as silly as it sounds, when someone's handicapping a race and there's a real diamond in the rough, if we're honest with ourselves about how often we spot a 20-to-1 shot, it's not, even if I told you one's going to win today, you'd have a hard time looking at an entire card finding which is the one that's the 20-to-1 shot to win. And with my method, if there's 8 horses in a race and there's a 20-to-1 shot that's going to win that day, I've got a 12.5% chance of finding that. I know that sounds crazy, but I picked random numbers. And actually, I've got that times 3 because I've got 3 different numbers. And the person that handicapped like hell, that did such a good job all day long and just missed that 1 13-to-1 shot, yeah, sorry. That's how these games go. These are really, really rough games, in my opinion. They seem so innocent. The pick and pray format is so... It is so maddening to me in that every race counts exactly the same. And so as we watch the results as we go, it's a terrific fun time. And then, you could have been in the lead all day long. And then the one thing at the end happens and boom, the whole thing falls apart. That kind of thing makes me absolutely crazy. So it's funny. I know I'm sitting here kind of giving reasons not to do these things, and yet it is fun. It's a good time. And I'm actually trying to give people hope by saying, feel free to employ whatever radical strategy you want. I actually think that gives you a better chance than sitting down and just handicapping. I love Equine Edge, the product. I'm gonna plug them for a second, but say something a teeny bit negative at the same time. They're one of my top sources for picks and for getting ideas about winners. And yet when you're in a competition designed to differentiate yourself from other people, that is one of the last places I would go. That's the same thing with the picks from whoever who's on TVG that day. That's, if you buy the sheets, those are all things I would try to avoid as I'm trying to distinguish myself, not gravitate towards the picks that other people made. Picking all sixes is obviously ridiculous. And yet, I know you and I have a mutual friend in Jackson, and I think he's in the chat that I'm thinking about. It was really funny. At some point, I told someone, I said in the chat, I'm in one of these things, just root for the 6. And over the next 2 hours, I just kept getting texts saying 6 again, 6 again, 6 again. And okay, next thing you know, I get second place. And I guess I don't want to sound so severe, but it's a bit of an indictment on the format. It's certainly not a signal of my intelligence, maybe my luck, but I don't know. That was a long rant, but there's my answer.
Well, but you talk about some things that are important because, you're looking, there's a lot of people like me that, I finished in the top 4. I looked at each race. I picked the horse that I thought was most likely of winning, and I found a way into the top 4 that way. You found a way in with a different way to think about things. You found an unclaimed spot, and you put your game theory test to, and put that entry in, and that found a way to get you to the top. So there's lots of different ways to get there. And, just because it's unconventional and it looks, to look at that, like when I looked at it, I said, I'm not a fan of that, but you put your money in and you put your entry in the same as, you bought a ticket to play the game. So there's 163 people in that contest, and they all have a way of thinking about it as to how to play it. And,
right. It's something ridiculous. And something ridiculous came in second. And so whether it's your level of expertise or my game theory that allows for a ridiculous approach to do well. I think we're saying the same thing. There's lots of good ways. I'm going to say really good. There's lots of ways to get there. And, I try not to judge others and their methods. I confess, if I'm going to be judgmental here, I'm judgmental of this. And, I could see someone saying, gosh, that guy's just crazy, just throwing away $60 like that. Yeah, I didn't think it was throwing away $60, and obviously not. I'm in the playoffs now. That's kind of cool. I feel very fortunate to be there. I'll admit fully, I'm going to take away the next question you probably would have had. I'm not doing this in the playoffs.
Right.
So I will get much more serious. I'm still going to be cognizant of trying to yin when someone yangs and to go, I'm going to zig when you zag and try and be a contrarian, but not to this level of silly. But you bet, for purposes of the contest tomorrow, I haven't chosen my colors or numbers yet, but it'll be a similar level of thought, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So if you're interested in tomorrow's contest and people that are watching this, and it's every Friday, leading up into the Breeders' Cup, leading up to the playoffs, and like Matt mentioned, the rules have changed this year. There used to be a sort of a tour concept, and it benefited you if you were in every week, and people received points, and those top, point getters would get in the playoffs. Well, now you need to be top 4 every week to get into the playoffs. So you can look at the lineup for tomorrow's contest. You have some races from Monmouth, Gulfstream. You have races from New York. There's a Los Al race in there. There's a couple, actually, races 2 and 4. So you can jump in to tomorrow's contest, and, again, $20 per entry. If, you get in the top 10% of that, you're going to be awarded an entry into that $179 BCBC qualifier that takes place on Saturday. So there is that benefit also. And you mentioned, Matt, I did see, you were kind of popping on social media a little bit about your entry into that. And you were, kind of teasing that you were going to do, an all 6 type thing. But yeah, I think maybe your strategy was a little different in that other contest.
Yeah, a little different. I still went with something as contrarian as I could, but within reason. Again, as much as I like to sound, all funny and whatever, joking about these alternate methods, I'll pick on a Hall of Famer like Paul Sherman, who I think just hit the lead in the Tour, if I saw that right. It's not an accident in this format that you see the same names over and over again. It's just like professional poker. Yes, there's a lot of luck in poker, but over time, you do see the best names over and over. And so I'm not in any way trying to insult any of those people. I full credit that you found your way and your game and whatnot. But at the same time, there is inherently a bit of a much larger bit of randomness to each one of these individual events than I think people want to admit. And like I said, you're going to be scouring each race looking for these long shots. And if there is one that hits, I'm going to have, depending on how many horses there are, I'm going to have a 30% chance of finding it. That's kind of crazy when you think about it that way.
Well, Matt, talk about some of the other stuff you've been doing. I see your name up at the top of that Twin Spires leaderboard also. So you're participating in plenty of contests. They have contests going on, but your strategies there are working. And I'm sure you're looking forward to another BCBC. You have a chance to win a seat now for free, being that you're in the playoffs here for this contest. But are you jumping in other BCBC kind of feeders to get seats for that?
Is as long as the format makes sense and is one that I enjoy, you bet. And so the $2 win place thing, not so much for me. I would do the live version over pick and pray if you gave me a choice. But for me, depending on the platform I'm on, I really like these live bankroll cash tournaments and have just found a good niche there. It's a good chance to talk about the book a little bit. That is, it is not a handicapping book. It's also not just a horse racing book, but there is lots of good stuff in there about tournaments and tournament theory. And what I've got to say about those tournaments is wildly different than than my strategies for the $2 win place format. I do happen to be in a Twin Spires tournament this very moment. Jumped to the lead, I think, in the first race, and I think that one's looking pretty good right now. So yeah, it's been frankly just a really fortunate, incredible year so far. I will put out some statistics at some point, maybe mid-year. The number of events that I've won is just not believable when you add it all up on Twin Spires and Naira Bets and whatnot. And it just goes to show I'm using the same basic strategies most of the time, and it's not my handicapping that is setting me apart. I'm very, very quick to be humble and say I use others' picks or equine edge or whatever it is in the money's picks. I'm not doing a ton of handicapping on my own, but it's the betting strategies that I think are winning out in these things. So yeah, go after it. There's a whole bunch of people that have connected with me since reading this book and are killing it as well. And thanks to Twin Spires for creating this whole tour concept. It's, I've been jealous watching it on the other side of the aisle when it comes to, the mythical players have their tour. It's nice for the live bankroll players to have one, and you bet I'm going for it.
Absolutely. And you're always very generous with your time, with your interaction with anybody, very accessible also. So maybe, just if people want to reach out, how could they reach you? I know that you're pretty accessible on Twitter, via email, people that want to discuss the book. So, just remind everybody where they can get a hold of you.
All right. So Twitter is, gosh, I hope I don't even have it on the screen. I think it's X Matt Miller X. You can also go to the website, abetterwayofthinking.com, and there's a way to connect with me by email there. I'm not that freaked out giving my actual email address out to the world. MatthewMiller1717@gmail.com. I stopped short of giving out my cell phone, but once I determine someone's not a bot and they seem to be a sincere, legit, real person, I'm pretty quick to share a number and say, text me and let's talk. And this last year, after writing this book, I've told Pete my two favorite parts of writing that book were, number one, his initial set of comments on my first draft, which made me think he was so much smarter than I ever realized. And I just loved being told all these things that I could have done better. And I'm agreeing with it. And it was a great learning process. The second part has been all the outreach from people saying, hey, do I have this right? Do I understand you right? What do you think I should do today? And everything in between. And nice of you to call me generous. I do try very hard to be that way. I didn't have the best horse racing betting mentors growing up and had to learn a lot of the stuff on my own. And yeah, I've just enjoyed in my early retirement paying as much forward as I can. So it's a good time.
Yeah, that's awesome. And certainly I'm sure we'll be seeing you on plenty of leaderboards, maybe with some sixes, maybe with some other things going on. But I know that you'll be involved in the Money Horseplayers Tour every week, and will definitely be involved in the playoffs. And I'll see you there. But hopefully, you pick all sixes a day, all fives win.
Well, you never know. I mean, it's going to depend on what the horses on the track do. If it's a chalkier day, certainly picking random numbers is not a good idea. If it's a weird day, you never know.
Well, Matt, appreciate your time. Appreciate you jumping on here, sharing your thoughts with us, and I'm sure we'll get you back on the network soon.
All right. Great to see you. Thanks.
This has been a production of In the Money Media. Jump in on the In the Money Horseplayers Tour. Go to horseplayers.com. Get in line for that BCBC seat. Matt and I will see you guys in the playoffs. We'll see you next time.